Beginning my education journey majoring in film and digital innovation, and also as someone who intends to work in the film industry in the future, I've started to learn how valuable it is for me and for other professionals in the business to acknowledge the ways in which art and media can be a compelling apparatus for commentary on serious issues. Using art as a platform to advocate for environmental change can make for a really powerful collective environmental reformation. A piece of writing or art or any type of media can be a tool to spread awareness about issues that are important and can be the driving force to inspire audiences to want to make a difference for their Earth. This connects with the discussions we have been having in my literature and moral imagination class, like how does media of the Anthropocene promote justice? There are many different ways to define the Anthropocene, as well as use the word as an adjective to describe something of that era. In regard to the art world, this would be Anthropocenic art. One question that we've explored is, what characteristics define Anthropocenic art, and what makes art of the Anthropocene? As time goes on, and we are able to more clearly see the consequences of human interference with the biosphere, the more intertwined the Anthropocene is with our everyday lives. It's a completely unavoidable reality that every human lives in and must accept the truth. When we interact with reality as stark as permanently losing a version of Earth we grew up with, it can bring up confusing, somber feelings in all of us. Many feel as if we are stuck on a dying planet and there is nothing one person, as an individual, can really do about it. Throughout history, when humans are facing complex issues and emotions as a product of experiencing events that are difficult to accept, the only option we feel like we are left with to bring together a community and to illustrate the collective emotions of people is to create works of art. It is so intrinsically human to create and to express, especially when confronted with emotions that are hard to express. Existing in the Anthropocene inspires artistic expression that captures the emotional response to what it feels like living in this era. The response to the Anthropocene from artists can illustrate some essence of what it feels like to live in the Anthropocene, sometimes through visuals like paintings, collages, photographs, etc., or through words like literature and poetry. While many take art as a response to our current world, art of the Anthropocene is not just any piece of work that addresses environmental issues, but it is rather using art forms as a tool to express the human experience of living in the Anthropocene and to make commentary on the lack of action and responsibility we have taken to correct the wrongs done to the environment committed by humans. This approach of which art is created has become its own genre of Anthropocenic art. Anthropocenic art is a direct visual response to living in the Anthropocene. In class, we have looked at some of these variations of Anthropocenic art, mostly literature. In my literature and moral imagination class, we read Under a White Sky, a piece of environmental literature written by science journalist Elizabeth Kolbert. She examines the ways in which many modern environmental issues are caused by past efforts to improve other events in nature. She uses her writing to spread knowledge and to give platform to underrated people doing important environmental work. The intention of Under a White Sky was to speak on environmental issues that are being silenced and format it in a digestible, easy-to-read way. Most recently, we have been reading a piece of poetry from the Anthropocene, Habitat Threshold, by Anthropocenic poet Craig Santos Perez. Habitat Threshold is a comprehensive piece with every detail being a significant aspect of his intended aim. The visual pieces, like the graphs or the text arrangement, coincide with the intentional wording of his poems and titles. For example, his recycled poems give an Anthropocenic perspective to already existing poems. Even his use of the word recycled in the title serves to further the reader's connection to environmental language. We read pieces from this book in class and connected it to our essential question: why make this book? What does it serve? And what impact does the language Perez use have? The unique feature of Anthropocenic poetry that sets it apart from other Anthropocenic art forms is that it is able to use words and the visual assortment of texts to express emotions or feelings that something like a painting may invoke, as well as inform and directly address points and topics like a literary piece would. This is a piece from Habitat Threshold titled Cockroach Ode. My oldest memory is waking from a nap to a cockroach staring at me. It doesn't move as I clutch its dark body with my toddler fingers. When I bite down, it hisses, legs, wings fluttering. Have you ever seen a decapitated cockroach scurry? Today, rising seas threaten their populations because they can't swim. Don't worry, they breed a fuck you, will to thrive, there are too many of us attitude. They're the first terrestrial beings to birth in space, pre-Jurassic, post-nuclear, future milk. They've learned to avoid the violent light of human eyes. I can still feel its antennas searching my tongue for the foul saliva of extinction. Blessed be the cockroaches, for they shall inherit the warming earth. This piece stood out to me when reading Habitat Threshold. I found it really compelling how Perez uses a creature as hated as cockroaches to symbolize this bigger picture idea. Cockroaches are known to be able to withstand intense environments, but are completely defenseless against something as harmless as a toddler. Perez uses this imagery to illustrate what Earth will be like after humans are no longer able to sustain. The characteristics that make this poem Anthropocenic is how Perez uses language and imagery to make commentary on a larger issue. The importance of pieces like these to have in the art world is it is able to divert expectations and open minds by reframing issues like climate change to a product with more emotion. When looking at a piece of poetry like Perez's that mentions climate change or other environmental issues, we must examine it through a modern-day lens and analyze how it addresses the current environmental state of our world. Does this type of art serve to bring together the community of an Anthropocenic era? Does it function as an outlet for commentary and information? These are important questions to ask to understand what sets apart Anthropocenic art forms from other pieces of work. The characteristics of this art form are impactful to the intended aim that Anthropocenic artworks produce. The context of living on a planet that is rapidly regressing strengthens the purpose Anthropocenic art holds in our culture and in the environmental activism narrative. In my future career, it is my goal to make works, like Habitat Threshold, that are able to successfully be so intersectional and thought-provoking. Perez, Colbert, and other Anthropocenic artists are people that I take inspiration from when creating my own work. Art made of the Anthropocene is so impactful for starting important and informative conversations humans must start having to make change for our Earth.